opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello. Welcome to my team shit show. The person that was supposed to join me hasn't showed up or notified me, so hopefully you're all right. But I guess it's just me tonight. But I have a few things I'd like to discuss. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what happened with Camilla on her interview that she did with Brett Baer. And we're going to talk about a few other things that's going on. But I also wanted to get some updates on a few things I found out about the flood victims and a few of their stories. So I'm going to say hello to everybody. Hi, Snorter Poopus. You're such a sweetheart. Thank you for stopping in tonight. I really appreciate it. Hi, baby girl, and Jackie Blue. Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I was in some spaces tonight and got some really good information about, just a bunch of stuff. And I did hear from a few people that they are working on getting voting set up for some of the people that have been displaced. So that made me feel really good to know that in this time of horrible need, looking for loved ones, things like that, that at least they will have the chance to vote and make their feelings known about whether or not they felt like they were treated decently after all of this stuff that just happened. But one of the things I want to do this tonight was to open with something kind of funny and adorable. I thought it was really cute. So I'm going to start with this thing because I thought this little guy had a lot of confidence, and I wish that we all could have this type of confidence, on a daily basis. So maybe we can take some cues from a few of these people. But I just thought this guy was really, really good. So here, let me see where I think this one's it. Yeah, this is it. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna make it big. And it looks like this young man is on a date, and he seems confident with himself and taking her out on a town. So here we go. I just thought that was so cute. Oh God, he's adorable. He exudes with confidence. It just shows you that if you believe in yourself, other people will believe in you too. And it doesn't matter how big or small you are or what you look like, because people will care about you. Hey, Six Nations. My other person I had invited, he hasn't sent me any message or anything. If you'd like to join me, I can send you a link and you can get on here and talk about some of the things that we're going to be talking about this evening. Hi, Winky. Thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. You always have something like that to say. But I'm going to be talking about a few things that I've dug up this week, mostly about Camilla and some other breaking news that's come out, and a little bit of the stuff about the updates for the hurricane. So my next thing, let me know if you in the chat if you'd like to join me. I'd be happy to have you join me tonight if you want. Six Nations. But this next thing I want to share is, let's see, there it is. It was something that I found when I was looking for different things for the hurricane, and I was just really, really shocked when I saw some of these things that came out. Let's see, I'm trying to find out which one it is. Okay. That one. Okay, I think it's the next one up. Nope, it's not that one. Let me see if this is it. I think this might be it. No, this isn't it. Let me stop sharing that one. Darn it. Why is it so hard for me to get these in order? I hate that. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to find the right one. Yeah, here it is. This is it. Okay, I found this one because another person in the space, he told me about it. He shared it with others. A lot of people have no idea what it's been like for some of these people and how fast they lost everything they owned. Their whole home was gone, and some people were even in their homes when the houses washed away down the mountain with mudslides and logs and rocks and cars and other homes, animals, just everything was in it. And I wanted to show you this. This was the day before the storm. And this is the same view, this street and stuff she's going to show you, and how quickly it could have been gone. But this is how deep the water was. So a lot of people cannot fathom it. So I figured I'd show this to you.
I think we're gonna be fine. We're up on this little hill, and we're about 30 feet up from the river. And historically speaking, the most this river has ever flooded is 10 feet, which is probably close to what it's getting out to now, but I don't know. Let's see. We'll be okay.
Amazing. Oh, can't even fathom what that was like. You saw how much space there was, and to see that just is shocking. And she's very lucky that her house was higher up because she was able to escape that. But a lot of people didn't. But did you see how quickly the water just rose above their homes and would take out everything they had? I mean, everything. I'm not talking about being able to grab, your just yourself, maybe your purse, and run out. What were they going to run to? There's water everywhere, and it's rushing so quickly with so much debris in it. It's shocking that there wasn't more people that we know of that have died. I haven't even really seen that much information about the records of how many people have perished, but it's got to be a lot. I mean, I know that there was a lot of people that lived up there, and in all the different areas. I'm talking about, I think, in Tennessee, North Carolina, and Florida. A lot of people were caught off guard, and to me, that was just scary as heck. I mean, I can't even fathom it. I've tried to walk across creeks where it wasn't even up to my knees, and I could barely walk. I mean, barely. And if I had had a stick, it probably would have been a lot easier. But just trying to walk 1 foot at a time, and especially when it's rocky and bumpy on the bottom, you don't have anywhere to get good footing. I'm telling you, it's really scary. I pray for these people, and I hope that they find more of them that are missing. But that was one of the stories, and here's another one. But they were fine. These people didn't disappear or anything. Everything worked out really good for them. So let's see. This was another one I found on Margot's timeline. I thought it was very good, because it gives you perspective of somebody trying to find somebody in North Carolina. Wait, let me make it small again. It says, if you're from a small town in western North Carolina, this is exactly how you find someone. And if there's a crisis, chances are they'll be doing what the country boy is doing here to help others. So I wanted you to see this because I thought it was a really good information. Fresh.
A building, everything.
You guys know where Tony Burleson might be?
No, Tony. We've been looking all over for you.
Just for you to understand, we drove 2 hours to find you.
No, really.
You have no plan other than a name and a town.
I'm Tony Burleson. We're on Roaring Creek, North Carolina. Well, how all this went down, the creek was raging, but it was holding. Everything was all right. And then there was a mudslide off the top of this mountain. The creek stopped running for about 40 seconds, completely stopped. And then all of a sudden it all came. And when it all came, It just wiped out the road, my building, all my equipment, everything. The only thing I've got left is what I didn't have here. I had on another job, and we went and got it and brought it in here. I walked for 3 hours, and it took me almost 8 hours to drive the equipment to here to get to work. I just had to drive it on the road, didn't have no trucks, anything to even move it here with.
This is not cheap equipment.
No, definitely not cheap equipment. I couldn't even leave my house. There's so many trees, and we found a guy with a chainsaw. Me and him and another guy, we went to bottom of the road and started cutting them.
Oh, no way.
Hey.
We found him.
This is crazy.
Today I was at work and these gentlemen were sitting there eating and they're wondering about the disaster up here. I led them to my crazy place, Roaring Creek, and they've been searching for my friend Tony here, and
Armed with literally only a name and a town.
literally.
I'm taking you up and showing you where the landslide happened that caused most of this destruction down through here.
You tell where I'm from based on my driving.
California?
California.
Really?
Yeah, we came all the way here to find you.
No way. All the trees and debris came right down and stopped this whole creek for about 40 seconds. Yes, yes, it was crazy. Trees breaking, rocks hitting each other, banging. It was crazy. All this debris came out from that slide into this bridge.
You guys pulled that out?
Yeah, I pulled all that out of there.
And they told you not to.
Yeah.
Were those live?
Amazing.
Yes.
You put them back up and stacked rocks on them.
Yes.
Dude.
I took an excavator and pulled the bottom of it up and set it up. They were there with me, the Mountain Electric guys, but they couldn't get to them. I stayed with them one whole day getting power back up here.
Nobody's paying you to do this. You're just.
Well, they supposedly are now. The state is now. We're going to go right over here. This is my dad's. The day after it happened, it worked one whole day and I ran out of fuel. So I was going to go to Elizabeth and get some fuel. Well, I got all the way into Rome Mountain. My truck quits. Just so happens my brother's got a place down there and I borrowed a truck from him. Well, during this time I was helping Mountain Electric pull all their stuff in. Well, my truck was in the way and I told one of the guys that worked for him, I said, move my pickup. Well, he moves my pickup truck and parks it behind me and I don't know it. I back over it with a track hoe and it's borrowed from my brother. The counterweight goes to the windshield and the front tracks tear the headlights out of it. I said, on top of everything else. Yeah, it was. I'm telling you. It was crazy. Well, nobody was killed in my family, so that's the main
The
thing.
water level got to right here?
Yes, it was coming. You can actually see where it came right through here. You can't stop water. That's for sure. It's going to do its own thing. I haven't seen any FEMA. The Army did come in. The Army sent in some troops, and they did help me clean out my building, and that was a real plus. But that's really the only help I've got. They were just here yesterday and today. Today is 2 weeks since it happened, since that morning that it happened. Food, water, supplies like that, they're getting plenty of. As far as funding, haven't seen anything. Haven't even heard anything.
People need money.
Yes. I mean, more than anything, I think. People around here are really hurt bad,
Right.
But no one up here was killed. No one. Yeah, I know. That's what I say. This stuff can be replaced.
Yeah.
Although it's took me 35 years working to get it.
It's your business.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much gone. We're waiting to see what the deal is with them. They haven't really offered us. They made us sign a deal, a contract of some kind that says we will fly one piece of equipment for a certain amount. Or
They haven't given you anything right now to rent for the house.
no.
So all your employees that work for you right now, what are you doing? Because
Well, I told them, I said, you're just going to have to wait till I can find out something about payment. They're all right. I told them if I had to go borrow the money, I would or whatever to pay them, I've got to pay them. They got to eat too. We were just taking what we could and fixing the road back.
you were doing that because people were trapped.
Yes. Yeah. When I came up through here, there was no cars had been up and down this road. Nothing. I mean, we got a lot of these people out of here. A lot of them. Well, most of them. All of them, I guess. 'Cause
So you think if you didn't have that road open,
they would still be stuck up here. I mean, they told me, the guy said, go ahead and do what you got to do. But, they said, we got to do this contract like this. This is the way FEMA has it set up. I mean, it's not their fault. It's not the DOT's fault. It's the way FEMA has everything set up. The state won't get reimbursed if they don't do what FEMA says. So therefore, they have to tell us what FEMA tells them. I think that locally, the people are doing all they can do. As far as FEMA, I don't think so much. It's like it's hurry up and wait. You know, they want stuff done, but then they want it done they want it done their way, and that's it. And it don't always work out that way. I mean, just like I said, they wanted you to, they call it cut and shove. If you cut, there's nothing to cut and shove here. I mean, it was just gone. Everything gone. So we had to do something to get these people in and out.
It's down
That's
the
what
mountain.
we did. All this debris was in my shop, all this mud. Right here, I had this. This was one toolbox. It was a Snap-on toolbox full of tools. It was over a half mile down the road. Look at my tools. This is the box that stayed in here. I mean, just look. And this is all Snap-on stuff too. Everything. It was, I mean, like you can see, it's brand new wrenches, all this, everything just totaled. Yeah, it was. It busted through the wall. I don't know how the building stood, really. There was some trees in here 40 feet long.
Holy moly.
Inside here. We cut them up and took them out.
Do you guys have insurance?
No.
So you didn't have insurance?
No, sure don't. Yeah, everything I've lost is just gone. Well, it's done, so can't change it.
Get a message for the President of the United States if he don't watch this.
Does he think he's going to watch it? Maybe he could fly over and not be asleep and look down and see how bad it really is.
Talk to me really
Yeah.
quick about the process that your wife started to try to maybe get a loan.
Well, she got on, they told her to go through the FEMA website. She went to the FEMA website, and anything to do with business, it referred you to the small business loan section. Yes. And that was all it was.
What do they
And I told her, I said, I don't need a loan. I'm already maxed out borrowing money. You know, I just need help, not a loan. Send money to Ukraine, send a little our way, you know? You don't all have to go to Ukraine. You know what I mean? I said, if I do get paid for this, it'll take every dime I can make just to get back in my building. Not replace things, just to get back in my building. You know, we've worked 14 days straight now, 12 hours a day, 14 days straight. It'll take all of it to everything we make probably to get back in. So,
You only had liability for the truck.
yes, liability in case my trucks run over somebody, not to replace the trucks, because it's already so high you can't afford it. You know, and I barely stay on the road anyway, the way it is, much less having collision that would replace them if something happened. But I don't even know if they'd cover it in a flood. I don't know if they do. I think you got to have flood insurance separate. Burleson Trucking and Grading, build roads, do house places, different things. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that is one of the stories that I said I wanted to share. An actual man who owned a business that lost everything. Everything. The two trucks that you saw, the dump truck and that other, whatever that's called, grab stuff, is all that was left of all of his equipment that he used for his business, because it was at another place when the flood came down the mountain and took everything else. And you saw inside his shop the tree limbs and the debris and the rocks and the just tons and tons of mud, and the few things that survived that didn't get washed out, and how hard it's going to be for him to get any help from FEMA, because they've spent so much money, trillions of dollars of tax dollars that we all worked hard for, which if we could take it out of our taxes, we would happily give it to these people and help them all get a place to stay while they're building, or why their insurance is trying to figure out how much they got to get back to rebuild. Some of these places, it's just a giant hole. I mean, where are they going to build? You know, they're going to have somebody come out and level it all out again and fix it all, and then resurvey to find out exactly where they're supposed to be. I mean, it's devastation, you know. So, did you get to see very much of that? Six Nations?
Yeah, I saw like 2/3 of it.
So,
And it reminds me of Maui,
mhm.
with the exception that people are still in their area, you know, on their property, what's left of it.
Mhm.
So they're not stuck having to play that catch-22 where they need, you know, the insurance companies to go on the property to survey, assess the damage, and then like they're stuck having to pay for their homes, even though the homes are gone, everything else. And then it also reminds me of my personal experience when I was like 4 years old, and we had a rainstorm in early January, and for 3 days it was raining so hard we got like 5 or 6 inches of rain, which was enough to cause the homes up in the mountains to get affected by mudslides. We actually had like 22 people lose their lives. They were just buried by mud. The local river, the San Lorenzo River, had just been chock full of trees from redwoods, you name it, all flowing down. And it took out 2 or 3 bridges. And we had, like $1 billion worth of damage. And it was horrendous. And these poor folks, they live up in the mountains or in the hills, and you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to need like flood insurance. I'm way above the water line, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
and some freak storm takes them all out.
The sad fact is that when you have a business, I'll just say a business, and it's constantly taking money out of the money that your profits, basically. You take out more and more of your profits, and you're just giving it to another business that has nothing to do with running your business, okay? You're just giving it to other businesses. You're just going out and handing out cash or whatever for them to run their business, but you're not putting more money back into your business. You're spending it out there with businesses and then you don't make them sign a contract. They don't have to pay you back. You're just handing cash out. Well, after a while, you realize, wow, I don't have any money. I can't pay my bills. I can't buy more product from my shop. I can't do anything. And then a storm comes by and tears it up. It takes everything out. Now you can't rebuild it. You can't restock your store, and you have no way of, you can't pay your employees or anything. And that's basically what happened with our government. Our government spent trillions of dollars to Ukraine and to Israel and a few other countries frivolously, just taking it willy-nilly and just chucking it in their direction, not expecting a dime of it back. For whatever reason. Well, at least not back to the taxpayers. I don't know whether or not
I think it's absolute bullshit that our government does this. They have an open checkbook.
I know.
And they'll write checks they can't cover, and then they put the bill onto us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then
that noise.
These horrible hurricanes, okay, that come in with tornadoes, and they weren't even, this didn't even happen really because of wind or anything like that. This was rain, okay, so much rain that it caused mudslides and flooding in the mountains. So it can only go one way, which is downhill, right? It's not like a flat plain like in New Orleans when we had all that flooding. Is because I think 2 or 3 of the levees, they didn't open, right? They left their posts, so people didn't open the levees. So in the bowl, which is where New Orleans is, floods, okay? With the levees, it would push the water out so that it doesn't go into the city, but they weren't there to do their job, so people died. People lost millions of dollars in merchandise and buildings and whatever else. So basically, these people were in their homes. A lot of them were in their house and had a flood go by. So the next thing I want to show you is a set of triplets that were caught, unaware that they're about to go through a flood. So let me see which one. What was the name of it? Okay, We Are Beyond Mad. I think it's nope. If that one's it or not. Yeah, this is it, I think. Okay. Oh, this is a different one. This is the another one. I'll go ahead and play it. This is a phone call, a recorded phone call of a soldier Okay, he's in the Middle East, and he has relatives that are in this area about what's going on, and he's upset because they won't let any of the soldiers whose relatives are in any of the damaged disaster areas get leave. So I just wanted to play this because this storm has impacted us in lots of different ways, not just the people who died, not just the families who lost everything, but also relatives of the families and being told they can't do anything. They're not allowed to do anything. But this was an actual phone call that was recorded. Listen to this.
I want you to understand that they've been stood down because of fucking Israel and all this other bullshit while Americans are dead. We're in the same goddamn state. The National Guard wasn't even activated till Sunday. Our state fucking government and our federal fucking government are nowhere to be found for Scots-Irish, Anglo-Americans on the fucking mountains, okay? Our fucking military is too goddamn busy being deployed to a fucking war zone that isn't between us. That has nothing to fucking do with us. The Tennessee State Guard was deployed 2 days before the hurricane hit. Our entire fucking military, they're not allowing anyone out on leave. No one can take leave to go find their dead kids.
Yeah, it's sad.
And then the revelation of the Department of Defense authorizing lethal force against U.S. citizens back in September 28th, I think it was.
Yeah, it's
couple of weeks before the election, right before the Hurricane Milton. This was, I think, during Hurricane Helene. They just kind of gave themselves authorization to quell any uprisings, and it's vague enough where they can pretty much do what they want. It's disconcerting the way this government is running, and this administration in particular.
Yeah, but
has operated in the last 3.5 years.
You're not seeing any of this on the news. You see what I mean? The news is not reporting it, so
purposely not being reported.
Yeah, so the people
would be up in arms.
Yeah, it's sad, and that's why I think it's important that people like us that have the ability to share is with. It's only a few people I'm getting to share it with, but to share facts from other Americans, because this could have been us. This could have been me. I could have been damaged, hurt by tornadoes in Arkansas, a whole bunches of masses of injuries and things and damage, and have nobody in our government wanting to help or send help or do anything about it. And it's just heartbreaking to me. But this video that I'm going to share, it's the triplets that survived the flooding, and I wanted you guys to see it. This is really, make sure it's turned up. This is the triplets.
What are you doing? Zoe filmed as she, along with her 2 brothers, Henry and Ian, grabbed their family cat, Pumpkin, and tried to escape.
She looked out the window and saw that the water was to the hoods of the cars.
Waters were so high, they say it was safer to stay in their home.
Because we couldn't go outside because the water was just too strong. Like, that'd have been instant death.
The 3 triplets rode out Helene together in their home. One of the scariest moments was when logs from a lumber yard behind the house crashed through the front door as feet of water rushed in.
We just sat on the counters. The only thing that we could do was pray. And about 30 minutes later, the water started receding. I thought for about 10 minutes, I thought we were going to die.
As the water receded, Zoe continued to film their trek to safety. Once across the street from their property, they couldn't believe the devastation to their property. Several buildings that stored all of their dad's priceless antiques, gone.
Right over there, that red thing was our gas pump. So my dad, he saved his gas pump, and it's been completely destroyed. And our Texaco station was full of antique tools and shop supplies.
Besides antiques, their vehicles were trashed. Take a look at this video just down the road from the Marlowe's home. First, this home floating, swept off its foundation by the floodwaters. Then there was Zoe's SUV floating away.
As much devastation here, it's just the blessings just keep on coming.
One of those blessings, finding these pictures and toys.
We found these all the way in that cow pasture over there.
These pictures show their brother Jason, who passed away as a child. These toys belonged to him.
The entire house is completely gone. We haven't been able to find hardly anything. These toys were the toys that he had played with when he was a kid. So these are like the most important thing to my dad at the moment, and this was all that we could save.
Despite not saving much, surviving the storm together, the triplets say it's brought them even closer.
A lot of people's help, the community has helped.
That is a miracle that all three of them were able to survive. And did you see how big that log was that was in their door? It just got pushed in like it was a matchstick, because of the water rushing by their home. And it was that fast. They were inside just, watching TV, maybe getting a snack or whatever. The next thing I know, they hear rumbling, and then they look out and they're surrounded by water. I still can't even, I don't know. I'm devastated by this. It's so sad. But it's nice when I get to find a few good stories like this one, showing people that survived, and they've been able to find a few things, momentums, because when you don't think about it, but when you get in your car and you drive to the store or to a restaurant, the thought of driving up your driveway and having nothing there, just everything you owned, your yard, your yearbooks, your photographs, all your collectibles, your plates, your food, your refrigerator, your televisions, it's everything. It's just not there anymore. Nothing. I can't even imagine what that would be like. Your pets that were in the house or whatever. And people are still missing. We still got people missing. And another thing that I heard on a report this morning was a lot of people would go up in the mountains for vacations and you get an Airbnb. I've done it. I've used Airbnb on the beach. I haven't done the mountains because I'm already in Arkansas, so I'd want to go to the beach. But people from, the cities would want to go stay in the country for a week, and see the beauty of the mountains and stuff. And some of those people are missing. They were in a Airbnb and they're just gone. They can't find them. This is devastating. And the fact that I'm not hearing about it every day, people being found or people being reignited with their families and things like that, or numbers, every day they pounded it over our head how many people supposedly succumbed to COVID, right? And stuff like that. And nothing. With all these 3 states, I think it was 3 states, right, that's involved with all the flooding and stuff. And I don't hardly hear nothing. I hear more on X than I do on anything else, on TV or anything, on the news, on the radio when I'm driving in my truck. I hardly hear anything about it. It's sad to me to see the lack of interest by people,
The information that's being presented, it's really easy to get black-pilled. But
yeah, I know.
If you don't listen to mainstream media, you actually go out on X and alternative sources of information, and you hear how communities are coming together with the relief efforts, the donations, just checking in on their neighbors. Like it's enough to make you think that we do have a sliver of hope.
Well,
in trying times to make it through.
It is heartwarming to see so many people coming together, coming out and trying to help their neighbors. The ones they know lost everything. And even ones that didn't lose everything, they've lost some of their stuff. They have no heat, and it's getting cold. And I even saw videos showing it snowing in some of the mountain areas. So, I just hope that I just wish that we could get more people involved with our government to make sure these people, all I can think about is the trillions of dollars that we spent, doing all the other things that the government thinks is important, and how many, prefab little homes or RVs or trailers that we could purchase and set here and there and have heating and water and everything for these people while they're waiting to rebuild everything that they've lost everything. That's a lot of ways that we could have really helped these people. But I just wanted to give a little update on some of the things that I found with the hurricane, because I haven't really heard that much about it. And some of these were really good stories showing how people were helping and people that survived. So then I wanted to move on to this, which I think a lot of people are listening to and talking about, the whole thing with Camilla's interview. And I wanted to share.
I have yet to see it, actually.
I haven't watched
but
it.
I've had my fill of this administration, so I take a break so I don't lose my sanity.
Yeah, me too. I try to. I spent most of my day crocheting and taking care of my chickens and stuff today. But I watched this interview, or this this whole thing that Jesse did, talking about the interview, and I thought everybody else might enjoy it. So I'm going to play it for everyone. We turned it up here, and then we can talk about it. Well, here we go.
Disorienting. First, she was the most unpopular VP in history. Then she's Mrs. Messiah. Her record's radical left. Then she agrees with Trump, but her values haven't changed. Okay? Her VP's wooing white dudes, and Obama's scolding the brothers. She hid from CNN for 5 weeks. Then she turned down the Fox debate. Now she's playing footsie with Rogan and begging to come on Fox. Well, be careful what you wish for, because Kamala Harris just sat down with Bret Baier for a half hour, and she was roughed up so badly, Pelosi's asking Joe to get back in.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the. Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
You
have to let me finish.
You had the
please.
White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they
in the
didn't bring
middle
up
of
that bill.
responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people.
To turn this into a drinking game.
Been on fixing a problem.
This was the first time the vice president.
She didn't answer anything.
and the
They're so
Democrat
good
nominee
at not
had ever
answering anything.
had to answer for herself. She spent more time defending herself with Brett than she has defending the actual border. Then it got personal.
Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those
I think it's
families
really,
an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that.
Yeah, we know
There's
that.
no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Bret Baier is giving
Skill level master and double
if
speak.
she were president, Laken Riley would have been alive. Kamala should have said that's something I would have done differently than Biden. I would have secured the border much earlier, but I was just the VP serving at the pleasure of the president. And if you vote for me, I promise I'll protect women like Laken Riley. At this stage of the campaign, saying, I'm sorry about the dead woman on my watch, it's all Trump's fault, it's not going to fly. Harris has never been pressed this hard on her border policies. And it continued.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm
I will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is
Tucker would have
happening right
held her to
now.
task.
An individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you
Brett,
want to answer
in all
her?
fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed.
Kamala just said the border's always been broken, but it was secure for 3 years when Laken Riley was murdered. That doesn't make any sense. How did Trump break the border that you said was secure? You can't follow Kamala's logic because there is none.
Nope.
She doesn't know anything about the border. She doesn't care about the border. She just doesn't want anyone talking about it. Her whole interview was a continuation of a cover-up. Watch.
Madam Vice President,
But
you call
let's not
Donald
diminish
Trump.
the significance
you
of that.
call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
He's
he
unstable.
is unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You
and
told
we
many
should all be
interviewers
concerned.
that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
Like chocolate chip.
Donald Trump
But you
is,
talked about it.
and Donald Trump
After George
is,
Clooney said
and
within a
if
few
you
minutes of
watch
talking to President
Donald
Biden at a
Trump-
fundraiser that he thought this
Brett,
was not the same
Brett.
Joe Biden that we saw on the debate
Donald
stage.
Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for
She has
3.5
no
years.
answers for
You didn't have
anything.
any concerns?
And she's supposed to be the president of the
I
United
think the
States.
American
It
people
scares
have a
the shit
concern
out of
about
me.
Donald Trump.
So Kamala Harris didn't want to talk about Kamala Harris, and she definitely didn't want to talk about Joe Biden. She never once touted the accomplishments of the Biden administration. Not a single one. She just wants
They
to
didn't do
prosecute
anything.
Donald Trump. But America doesn't want a prosecutor. We want a president. At one point, she just snapped.
This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United
In a
States,
democracy, people vote.
America,
She's
should
never
be
been voted
willing to
as
be
vice
able to
president
handle criticism
or
without
the
saying he'd lock
Democrat
other people
nominee.
up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
Why didn't we see anger like that about the border, about prices, about crime? Never kind of showed that flash of anger when it was affecting millions of Americans.
Because she don't care about them.
She wasn't likable. She wasn't charming. She was never funny. She wasn't warm. There was nothing.
That's what happens when you have a thought running for president.
About this performance. Then Brett asked her the question that she's had a week, actually the whole campaign, to think about. Watch this.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C.
Okay, she spent 8 years in Washington, D.C. That's twice as long as Trump. And what would you do differently? She said she'd bring fresh new ideas. Then she never said what the ideas were.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
If you looked at the last 20 years of Trump
That is about turning the page
as
on
just a
rhetoric
regular
that
citizen,
People are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
If you're turning the page,
he's done more for the country
And Donald
in
Trump
his
has
4
been
years
running for
and as a
office.
citizen than she has in her entire political career.
You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both
She's
know what I'm
been
talking about.
in office for
What
3.5
I'm
years
talking
as
about
vice
is that
president.
over
She
the
hasn't
last
done a damn
decade,
thing to help any of us. She's
people
not even
have
helping the
power.
people that were just lost
Listen,
everything.
Over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly
That's in
the
trillions of
Republicans who are on
dollars.
stage with me,
And
the
other
former
countries.
chief of staff to the president,
Who are in
Donald
debt.
Trump,
And up until
the former defense
2015, everybody
secretaries,
loved Trump.
national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable.
But see, they
that he
say
is
this
dangerous.
stuff. They say this
So turning
rhetoric
the page
constantly.
isn't turning the page from Biden. She's going to.
But she constantly badmouths Trump, just like Hillary did. Hillary constantly said he's this, that, and the other. You and I are deplorables. Okay, we're horrible people. We're a basket of deplorables. We should be thrown out with the dirty bathwater and shit.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Well, those communists need to just fuck off.
But they don't offer anything different. They don't say why am I deplorable? Because I wanted to vote for Trump, so I'm deplorable. It doesn't matter that my whole life I've been a good citizen. I've paid my taxes and I take care of my property. I raise my kids. I go to school. I do all these things. Well, they don't give anything, but they can go to parties, spend money out the wazoo, and make our great grandchildren that haven't even been conceived yet in debt. And we're the bad guys. See, that's bullshit. That's a total bullshit. If they had to spend their own damn money, they wouldn't be spending it like this. And if they had to be on the same healthcare system that they put our veterans through, I guarantee that overnight they'd fix it. You see what I mean? They're all me. They're all selfish narcissists. That's all I see. Politicians are the biggest narcissists I've ever seen. They're all consumed with what can I get right now. They go into office making less than $100,000 a year, and they all come out millionaires. Why? Because they're taking it up their butt for everybody outside the United States, but not for us. They just throw scraps at us. And see, there you go. We care about you. Here you go. Pick up your scraps and enjoy it. That's what I feel like, and it pisses me off.
Going to do everything the same.
Rightly so.
Turning the page from Trump.
Absolute bullshit.
Who wasn't in office. Her slogans don't even make sense because 79% of the country wants to turn the page from her. This is what an actual Kamala Harris interview should look like. Brett gave her the same treatment as he gave Trump in the spring. Respectful, firm, and persistent.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't swap her answers to make her look better like CBS. We didn't invite little Timmy along to hold her hand like CNN. This was a big girl interview. And she flopped.
She flopped big time. But I was really surprised because I honestly didn't think he was going to even, give her any good questions, and he was going to not make her answer anything or let her get away with not answering is what I really felt, because that's just what I felt from him. I just felt like he wasn't going to be fair. And I was surprised. So the whole time I'm shocked watching some of the interview, I was shocked, not because of how she acted, because I'd expected her not to know shit, because she knows nothing. And it finally made other people besides me that already knew she knew nothing, see her know nothing. You know what I mean? So that was surprising to me. And I'm really happy that he did such a good job at just laying the law out and seeing if she was going to answer it. And she didn't answer anything, really. She really didn't answer any questions. All she did was say,
never does.
Trump's fault, Trump. They're the ones that are messed up. All of them. They hate Trump so much. They'd rather see our country collapse and become China. That's sad. Okay. I cried when Bill Clinton was elected, not because I hated him, but because I was worried about where he was going to take our country, and where were the people going to, how are the people going to be able to afford to take care of themselves with all higher taxes and all this shit, right? And the same thing when Obama won, I cried my eyes out because I was worried about where we're going. People can't afford it. It's already so bad, and people hated each other. I was in New Orleans. Everyone loved each other. They didn't care if you were black, Hispanic, Asian. Nobody cared. People wore tutus, men, women. Everybody wore wild costumes. We'd go partying. We'd have fun. We'd go to restaurants. We'd have good meals. And I didn't see anything. I didn't see this open racism everywhere. There wasn't. And then Obama gets in office, and every time you turn around, everybody's like, I can't do that because they're black. Or I can't do that with you because you're white. It was like, where'd this come from? I just don't get it. It's like the biggest racist I ever saw as president was Obama. He hated white people, and his grandparents were white, and he's half white. See that? Just because his skin looks darker than mine does not make him any better than me. Okay. And I don't look at him like he's bad. I look at him because he's a liberal. Okay. He wants to take from everyone and give it to someone who didn't earn it. See, that's what I don't like. Okay. That's where I have a problem. It has nothing to do with skin tone. It has to do with actions. Actions speak louder than words. And if you're constantly taking from someone who worked their ass off and giving it to someone who sits on their ass, that's wrong. Because if I go to work and I'm cleaning houses, or I'm mopping floors, or I'm doing any of this stuff, and I get my money, I should be able to buy my kids clothes with it. I should be able to buy food for my kids. I should be able to pay my bills so I keep a roof over my head. That's where the money should be able to go, and take that small portion out to give to the federal government to put in my Social Security, so I have money waiting for me when I get old and I need my money for medicine or whatever it is, or my sample, because I put it in there. I should get it back. But guess what? I'm finding out they're giving it to other people that never even paid a dime into Social Security, that every single time a conservative runs for office, they're going to take your Social Security from you, when they're spending it right now. And for some reason, the news never tells you nothing. The news doesn't tell you the truth. And I don't understand that. I don't know. I'm just so frustrated.
Well, for decades, the media has been the tool of the government.
Yes.
And we're now starting to realize the implications of that, especially with COVID.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just crazy. But then I wanted to share this other one. This is still some more stuff with Camilla I thought was interesting. So let me, I think this one's the one. Let me see. Yeah, this is it. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. This is Brett Baer says there were 4 Camilla Harris staffers waving their hands back and forth to stop the interview while he was giving them giving her the questions. So let's see what he has to say on Fox. This is the channel that she went on for her interview, that she willingly went on. She wasn't tied down to the chair or anything. She could have got up and walked off anytime she wanted.
Dana, you've been on the other side. You've been on the rapper as a press secretary interviewing a president. And, you know, I'm talking like 4 people waving their hands like it's got to stop. So, Martha, I had to dismount there at the end. There's so many things, and she maybe should do more of these. Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap.
Well, I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dana, you've been on the other side.
So there you go. They were freaking out because they knew she was in over her head. And I was surprised when I saw this little tidbit right here, because I didn't watch the whole interview. I just saw little bits of this, but that right there made me realize that all the other places that she's done interviews at, like with Oprah Winfrey and all that, and on The View or whatever the other stuff she's done, she already knew what they were going to ask. And she probably had earpiece or whatever, them giving her tidbits of information to help her make good answers. But apparently, she didn't have anybody whisper in her ear for that interview. And she didn't have in advance what he was going to ask. Because if she knew that, I don't think she would have went. And if she couldn't take this interview, how do you think she's going to do with Joe Rogan? Do you think he's going to kiss her ass?
And a somewhat intelligent person doing so many interviews with so many questions about the border, etc., you would think that they would do a little bit of homework and come up with some sort of statistic to blurt out so they don't look like a complete jackass. But, you know, she's dumber than a rock.
Yeah,
and
it's so sick.
Her whole staff seems to be just a bunch of babysitter nannies running around, keeping her out of trouble.
The fact that she's this close, to touching the buttons to start World War III, that
I don't even think they're going to let her do that. So, like, whoever's handling her is the one that's going to be touching the button.
Well, all I can say,
she's just the figurehead.
Yeah.
Who the hell is the asshole in charge that's making all the policies? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, but just her being in the White House and dealing with diplomatic stuff, like what's going on in other countries around the world that hate us. They're in our own streets. The Hamas lovers saying death to America, which means me. I live here. My kids live here. My mom, my dad, everyone I love lives in America. And they're saying death to them. They're telling us they want us dead. Okay, that's what they're saying. And I'm supposed to think, oh, willy-nilly, who gives a fuck who's president? Because what difference does it make? It's scary as shit. I'm telling you, it scares the shit out of me. I can hardly sleep thinking about this woman being as president. I mean, it's bad enough having a weekend at Bernie's or Biden's, in the White House. Okay. He's Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, and that scares me. All of this has been horrible. All they've done is get us deeper and deeper in debt. And I don't know who we're in debt to. See, that they say that we owe trillions and trillions of dollars. People can't even count that high. Who do we owe it to? When they say we want our money, are we going to have to hand them over our states? Our federal parks? How do we pay off our debt if they call the note?
Well, we owe the bank the money that they made.
Bank?
The bank that doesn't exist. The Federal Reserve isn't federal.
I don't know.
It's a third party that controls all our wealth. And then they go and raise interest rates and take our taxes. And it's like, that doesn't work. That doesn't sound right. It's a fucked up system. Why do we even tolerate it? It's just making us poor and enslaving us to work horrible 9-to-5 jobs and barely make eke out an existence. And then maybe for 2 weeks out of the year, we'll take a vacation somewhere and forget our problems. until that following Monday.
Oh my God, this is scary. But yeah, here's another little interview that she did. Okay, it says Kamala Harris absurdly says it's almost impossible for rural Americans to photocopy their ID. See, she is totally not in touch with any normal people. She must never talk to anyone that just walks the street. She must not even buy her own groceries. I mean, I don't see how you could shop or go amongst anywhere, go shopping, go for a jog or walk your dog, buy clothes, all this stuff, and not understand what it might be for the person you're speaking to. I mean, this woman, this is one of the things too. She went to the border when she did her photo op, walking around. She was wearing a $62,000 necklace because people looked it up online, the necklace that she was wearing. And the fact that I played last week on the Friday Night Shit Show, I played that little snippet of that one guy that saved the 11-day-old baby, you know, when they rescued him. That pilot, that helicopter pilot, and he was saying that some of his friends had called him and told him that they just did a C something helicopter and loaded it up with supplies with Camilla acting like she's helping load it up. And then when she was done with the photo op, they just unpacked the helicopter. So she didn't even take supplies to people. Okay.
There's actually an update to that story.
Yeah, there is. Do you have it?
When Sean Ryan had posted that interview of the two pilots from Florida,
yeah,
they were the special forces guys, or that rescue task force.
Yeah,
I forget what DeSantis called it. Anyhow, so apparently that helicopter was grounded because it couldn't fly. So they took the opportunity to do the photo op, and then later in the week, or a couple days later, they unloaded the helicopter, put it in a functioning one, and they actually delivered the supplies. So the National Guard was kind of pissed off that the actual story wasn't told, but it still shows the inept ability of this government, FEMA, and all that,
or
get
maybe
the head out of their ass and get organized.
Yeah, or
and communicate.
maybe they decided to actually send some supplies because they look like dumbasses. You know what I mean?
Well, they've got the receipts. They sent the flight logs.
Oh, okay.
But the fact of the matter is, like, they should have never done that photo op and just sent the supplies. Like, who the hell cares about the vice president and the president, whether or not they get to see the damage? Like, they can look on the fucking TV.
Mm-hmm.
What they should have done was gave the federal government authorization to deploy various National Guard,
Mm-hmm.
get the military involved, get the engineers out there, and start looking for people and clearing roads. And they didn't do it. They sat on their ass.
Yep. 100%.
And to this very minute, they're still running into problems with communication, logistics, and leadership.
Mm-hmm.
At least the American people got together and sorted their own shit out. Because, like, if we were to wait, everybody would be dead.
Oh yeah, and we're never going to be able to tell if they could have saved people. You know what I mean? How are we going to find out? See that's
like the missing people. Like, that's going to be a nightmare because you're going to have to go through and do a complete census of the affected states,
mm-hmm.
and then see if the records were correct and the amount of people in each county. And, like, that's going to take years to figure out, if ever.
It's horrible. But yeah, I don't think it'll take it as long as we think, except, just like I said, the people in the Airbnbs and because anyone that lived there, and if they have anyone left alive in their family, they'll say they're missing still. See, that will make it easier. It's the people in the Airbnbs if the owners that own the houses and stuff that got washed down the mountain, if they died, then there's no record of who was in what, house and where they came from. You know what I mean? Because somebody could be in an apartment complex that has 300 apartments in it, and the couple and their kid or whatever went on vacation, unless someone from work or one of their friends contacts another person or whatever to find out, hey, they went on vacation and never came back. You see what I mean? Yeah, you're right. It's going to take a long time. But
This broad is just blowing smoke.
yeah, and that's sickening because that tells you exactly what she thinks about us. She thinks we're all stupid. You are too stupid to take care of yourself, so you need us to build you a 15-minute city and put you in
It's
it.
like the hot take that black people don't know how to use a computer.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just
what the
stupid.
fuck?
There was a couple of somebody, I don't know who it was. I think it was some college students, and they were walking through a community in this, in the street where people were walking around and stuff, and they were asking people. They were going up and asking black people, "Is it going to be hard for you to get ID because you're black?" And he's like, "What?" He goes, "Well, they're saying that you wouldn't be able to prove who you are because you wouldn't be able to get ID because you're black. Is that a fact or not?" And this is what the left was saying. And he was like, "That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Why would me being black have anything to do with why I can't get my ID or have ID on me?" So that's the kind of stuff that I don't understand, why there's more people speaking out against it, because it's ridiculous for any person to tell anyone else that because you have a race or because of where you live, like a rural person in the country, doesn't have access to the normal stuff everybody has or can get. I mean, a person in the country has to have a driver's license to drive their truck or their motorcycle or their car, just like a person in the city. So why does she think we're all stupid and too dumb to be able to get a driver's license or photocopy our ID? That just tells you that's what she thinks about you. She doesn't think about you. She thinks you're nothing. You're dumb. You're stupid. You're worthless. The only thing you're good for is paying your taxes so that they can spend the money where they see fit, not because you need it or that you might be in a tornado or a flood or an earthquake and might need FEMA to help you that you've paid taxes to have them help you for. That is just makes my stomach turn. It just makes me so mad. So I'm so sorry, but here's my next.
10 years ago, I had to get my birth certificate.
Yeah.
All right. I was 37. I had a 37-year-old birth certificate that, you look at it, it's old as fuck, but you could still see the stamp. Everything was legit. It was just folded up in my wallet. And I went to go renew my license, and they look at me and they look at my birth certificate and they're like, "You're going to have to get a new birth certificate, something up to date." I'm like, okay. And the last time that I recall ever having that birth certificate was at the hospital. Well, Good Samaritan no longer carried that.
Yeah.
They got with the times. So I went to the county clerks, spent a crap ton of money to get a new birth certificate. It's a lot cheaper to get a death certificate. I think it should be reversed, if anything. And finally went back to the DMV, got everything squared away. Took an extra weekend out of my time, but it's not impossible. It's just a lot of red tape that you got to go through.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like anything to do with the government, like DMV or birth certificate, a new one, especially, a social security card, getting your, what is it?
Bureaucratic nonsense.
Your passport, anything like that. It takes forever, and you got to have stacks and stacks of papers to do anything. They make everything so complicated when it shouldn't be that complicated. It should. I wish that there was some way to start streamlining some of this shit. That's one of the reasons why veterans have such a hard time doing anything. It's because when they go to this person says, well, you need this form and this form and this form. So you need to go to that office over there and she'll help you get that. And then you go over there and then she says, well, now you got to go to this office over there and get this other piece of paper because so-and-so's got to have it when you go down to see the doctor. It's like, what the? It's fucking frustrating because I have done so many things to help my dad because he needed a special brace, and we'd have to drive 5 hours from where we lived to where the hospital that he could go to because he needed to get a special brace, and then we have to sit there for hours. They get him in, they fit him and everything. They say, okay, you got to come back in 2 weeks and we'll be able to see whether or not this brace will put it on him and blah, blah, blah. It's like, so we got to go through all that shit over again. So it sucks. I mean, it really sucks. And this treatment is shit. I mean, they do not treat our veterans like regular people. Because I know what it's like when I go to my doctor and she's all smiling and happy to see me. And it's a nice little office. Why can't they fix it to where a veteran can just go with you to your doctor's office? I don't understand why they have to make it so hard to go to an eye doctor or get just your regular physical every year and all that stuff. They make it so hard on all the veterans instead of just saying, let them go to your family doctor. I don't know. I just don't understand why it has to be so complicated.
Got to be in the same network. The doctor has to be in the same network. You have to be within a certain mile radius, blah, 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 blah. It's
yeah, but 5 hours to drive 5 hours.
It's ridiculous.
To go to the doctor. And if you don't have someone to drive you, how are they supposed to get there? You can't. Yeah. What's going to? Hey, well, we'll get them a Greyhound next time. It's like, it's freaking ridiculous. Some of these things are so stupid, and it's because there's so much red tape. That's why they don't want to fix it. Nobody wants to take on the burden of trying to fix it. So I hope I'm gonna try to figure out a way to get somebody to send the Trump team a message saying, can you bring some people in to help restructure the veterans health benefits and stuff, streamlining it somehow, because the bureaucracy for it is ridiculous. But this is the last story that I wanted to bring up tonight. And I thought it was interesting because you know how I've been saying that I didn't think that Biden would be the president to hand over the reins to the next president in January, right? I've been saying that for like a year, that they're chucking him under the bus and they got rid of him and that he wouldn't be on the ballot. Well, I was right about that, but I still believe that before January that Biden will be gone. And I think this might be one of the reasons why that's going to happen. So here we go.
Yeah, a lot can happen between now and January.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. They're going to get a notch in their belt because if they dump Biden because of this, what I'm about to show you, then guess what? They win a notch in their belt because Kamala will be crowned a actual president of the United States, which means she'll go in the history books as the first woman president. Even though she's only president for 2 months, she'll still be president, which means Trump won't be 45, right? He'll be 46, right? So, everything you bought that has 45 on it, it won't be anymore to be 46 if this happens. But here we go.
This is a Fox News alert. All new this morning, House Republicans finding President Biden and his family received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities since 2014. Lawmakers call it an impeachable conduct. Brooke Singman is in Chicago with this story. Brooke, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Ainsley. I obtained a copy of this 292-page report from House Republicans. They're on the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means committees, and they've been leading this impeachment inquiry against President Biden for months. So they said their investigation found that President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and, quote, defrauded the United States to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democratic benefactors. And they say those loans have not been repaid. So this report says, in part, quote, as vice president, President Biden actively participated in a conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with his family's foreign business partners and speaking to them by phone, often when being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden. Republicans are calling out a 2014 dinner that Hunter Biden and his father attended with a Russian oligarch. After that dinner, the oligarch.
Yeah, okay. That just wanted to give you that update on that. But a lot of people were telling me, oh, one's house is run by this Republicans and the other one isn't. So they'll never vote to get rid of him. I said, yes, they will. If they're going to get a notch in their belt to have the first woman president be a Democrat, I think a lot of them will jump on board and say, yeah, they already chucked him under the bus to get rid of him. So why not go all the way and make her president, even if it's only for a couple of months? So we will see, won't we? But I definitely feel
With a handful of senators in Congress.
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty much a uniparty thing.
Mm-hmm.
They just push the us versus them mentality and then make concessions.
And we've already had some Republicans, like I think McCain and a few others, have said that they're going to vote. They're not going to vote for Trump. So, and they're Republicans. So they definitely do not. They're afraid of him being president. So that's why I wanted to be president so bad, because with the people he's already gotten together. When you're going to have Elon Musk go in there, you're going to have Robert Kennedy Jr. go in there for the chart, working on fixing our food and the health for our kids, and a few others. I can't remember everybody else, but he's bringing a bunch of good people in from all aspects of the world, I think, when it comes to making some changes and streamlining our country back down to where we can maybe afford to take care of ourselves. And we just got to hold them to it. When we put somebody in office in your state, you make sure you email them, call them constantly and say, hey, when are you going to do what you said you were going to do? You know, I voted for you. I helped. You know, when are you going to fulfill what we asked for? So I don't know. I just hope that we start seeing some differences, and once Trump's sworn in. So I tried to be very hopeful, because I kept saying I think they're going to cheat, but I am really worried that the day after election, we're going to have some rough roads until January when he's sworn in, and even after that. So I just want everybody to be ready and prepared to take care of your families and keep an eye out, because I don't know. I just really am afraid about what these people are willing to do, because I think I feel in my heart, I feel like they've already tried to take Trump out. And if they can't get Trump out that way, they're going to do something. And then some of these weird things like the DOJ, when he said something about, they're going to make sure there's a smooth transition, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's like, I don't know. I think they got something up their sleeve, because I really think, my personal opinion wise, that they were all behind the whole January 6th, hoping that we were going to riot and stuff, that a bunch of us was going to just go up there and cause a problem and try to take over the voting or whatever to make sure that Trump was elected and stuff, which I think is bullshit, because we got 360 million people in this country and nobody showed up with guns. I mean, come on. Oh, it's just ridiculous. If we were going to try to take something over, we're not going to show up with a bunch of sticks or flags and walk through the red ropes, you know, like tourists to take selfies and stuff.
No, we're going to show up with a bunch of grandmothers.
Oh God, it just
snapping selfies, because that's what insurgents do.
I know, isn't it terrible? I mean, it's just sad. This whole thing is just ridiculous. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up in the chat. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you'll join us tomorrow night, because we're going to have a lot more things to talk about. I was going through so many things. I said, okay, these few things, I'm going to try to stay on these two topics, which was the Camilla, basically, and the hurricane. Some of the good stuff that I found out about the hurricane. But I want you guys to have a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. And I'm going to close out with my nice Trump video that I really, really like. It proves the fact that of all the wonderful things he did do when he got to be president, and how much they hated him before he even was elected. So you guys get to watch it again. That's on my outro. You guys have a wonderful night.
Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever? Never got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
A new world order. These allegations are false. Weapons of mass destruction. The USA Patriot. The blueprint for large corporations.
We once were, we are no longer a Christian nation.
Donald Trump confirmed that he is considering a run in 2016.
Do it.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
He will never be President of the United States.
Donald Trump will never be elected President of the United States.
People are watching these results come in.
We are going to make this decision now. Donald Trump will be the 45th President of the United States.
Does it ever seem to you that President Trump has done more than any president in modern history?
And in the 10 years I've been involved in politics, I've never seen an administration hit the ground running like this.
I could spend the rest of the hour laying out the accomplishments under the Trump presidency, despite everything thrown at him.
Market just had its 12th straight record close.
Taking action to save as many kids as they can.
We were energy independent under the Trump administration.
More Americans reported being employed than ever.
Helping those who have served our country in the military to get access to mental health care.
The Great American Outdoors Act is the largest single piece of legislation to support our national parks and public lands.
Created more than 7 million good-paying jobs.
Websites can be held liable in court for having sex trafficking content.
The Abraham Accords, which for any other president would have been multiple peace prizes.
America did not enter into a foreign war.
The employment rate in the U.S. fell to 3.5%.
The First Step Act eases federal sentencing for nonviolent offenders.
Increased funding for historically black colleges and universities.
Allows terminally ill patients easier access to experimental drugs.
Kept the inflation rate low.
Honored with the Bipartisan Justice Award.
Had a massive MS-13 gang problem. 3.9% is the unemployment rate.
Requiring airports to provide lactation rooms for breastfeeding mothers.
Middle class family income increased nearly $6,000.
A dramatic escalation in his crackdown on illegal immigration. An advocate for educational choice.
Tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
An act preventing animal cruelty and torture.
Taking out Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, Soleimani, the Iranian general.
Save Our Seas Act commitment to environmental issues.
We're saying Merry Christmas again.
Community development in low-income urban and rural communities.
Help us to remember the importance of fighting off tyranny.
Pulling out of UNESCO, the World Health Organization, the Paris Climate Accords, reassessing NATO and the United Nations.
Stood up for Christianity and the Constitution more than any president in American modern history.
We are stopping the attacks on Judeo-Christian values. Do you miss me yet?